Okay, I guess we've come to the end of this interview. Can you just answer this final question for me? What are the key elements to make marketing successful?
Anyone watching this video or listening to the audio, if there is one thing you take away from this interview, let it be this. Marketing is psychology and mathematics.
Can you elaborate on what you mean by marketing being psychology and mathematics?
So let me answer that question by using an example. You see, for us in direct response marketing, we are used to writing long letters, long sales letters. And most of the time what you've got is that people who do not understand marketing always complain that, well, the letters are too long. People are not going to read it. Who is going to sit to read a 10-page sales letter or a 20-page sales letter? But every direct response expert know that long letters sell more than short letters. The more you tell, the more you sell. Now, what the direct response person will argue is that, look, if someone is sick and you send them a long letter about that sickness, or if their loved one is sick, they're not going to say to themselves, gee, why didn't they make his letters short? They want to know everything about the situation they're faced with. The same thing applies to marketing. What you've got is that people always contend that most people, when they make their decisions, they make it logically. Especially for you guys who are lawyers, you will think to yourself, because you are logical thinkers, you think to yourself that you make your own decision logically, or that someone else out there make a decision logically. So basically it's good to make a logical argument as you do in a court. Yes, you understand that even in the courtroom, that most of the time what swayed the jury is not a logical argument, it's the emotions. Because marketing, when you're stood in a courtroom, what you're doing, you're marketing, you are selling your client. And if you make all the logical arguments as you can make, you've got no chance. You've got to play on the emotions of the jury. You know that as well as I do. And the same thing when you're doing your marketing is about how you use your emotions. It's about emotions. It doesn't matter whether you were dealing with the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, the President of the United States, or a cleaner. They all make marketing decisions emotionally. They will explain it logically, but the decision is made emotionally. This is why it's important that if you are creating a marketing message, your marketing message must have the three elements. And then we'll go to the fourth element. One, your marketing message must have a star. Two, it must have a story. Three, it must have a solution. You see, most adverts use celebrities. The reason those ads use celebrities is that people understand that star power is stronger than even expertise. Let's say you went to a doctor for treatment and your doctor told you, look, this is the treatment you need. And then this is what and what and what you need to do. And then you went to the specialist in that field. And the specialist told you this one, this one, this one. And then let's say there is a doctor on television who is seen on television every day talking about that topic. And then that doctor told you what to do. What do you think 9 out of 10 of the people will do? Will they listen to their local doctor or they will listen to that celebrity doctor? Of course, they're going to listen to that celebrity because he is popular, he has celebrated. And so if you have celebrated and expertise, they even make you more valuable. And this is the reason why you find many adverts, they use celebrities because people relate to them, especially those who have come from poverty or adversary to become celebrities. Your marketing message must have a story. Like I said again, most of you guys, especially you lawyers, you think logically. So you think to yourself that people make decisions logically. But the reality is we are all emotional beings. We've been told stories from the time we were young. All the religious books are filled with stories. So people are used to stories. They're used to hearing stories. This is why when you are doing a marketing message, it has to have the story of you as a business person, of the origin. You might think it's not important to you, but trust me on that. Your story is what might sell more than the logic you're going to preach to them. Another thing is you need to have a solution. The solution needs to be very, very clear. They need to understand what it's going to give to them, what benefit they are going to get from using your services. It's very, very important that they understand that. It needs to be very clear in your marketing message. The next important part of your marketing message, which I call the mathematics, is you need to know your numbers. You need to know the figures. The core figure or the basic figure you need to know is how much does it cost you to buy a customer or to buy a client. You need to understand that marketing is about buying clients. That is the long and short about it. And the person or the law firm with the ability to pay more for clients is going to win the race for client. Therefore, you need to understand the figures. There are 3 questions you need to ask yourself with relation to know your numbers. First of all, the first question is, what is the cost of our client acquisition? What is the lifetime value of our client? And then what is the gap between the initial sales and profit? As a business, it's very, very, very essential that you understand these 3 figures, because without understanding them, you will struggle. This is why most businesses spend thousands on marketing and they complain that the marketing don't work. Law firm, they will spend money on advertising, or they spend money putting ad in the yellow pages and they don't produce any result. It's because they are not calculating the cost of how much it costs them to put there and how much they get from it. Because you could say to yourself, well, I've got a lot of customers from this ad. Yeah, but how much did it cost you? If you place an ad that you probably cost you 100,000 and then you get 100 customers from it. 100 customers might seem a lot, but then what you divide that 100 into 100,000 and see definitely how much you spend for each customer. Now, if each customer is worth 20,000 to you or 10,000 to you, then the mathematics adds up. But then if each customer is worth £100 or let's say £1,000 and you spend 100,000 and you get 100 customers, then you can do the math yourself, or you get 10 customers. So basically, by knowing how much it costs you to attract a client as a business, it becomes easy for you to know how much you will be willing to spend to attract more clients, or how much you must spend. I had a discussion with a lawyer before, and we're discussing and attracting clients for over 60 for retirement funding or so, and then asking how much will each of these clients basically net you, and he said 20,000. So how much are you willing to spend to attract each of these clients? He said, well, a few hundred, even less than £100. And I'm saying, no, if you are going to get 20,000 from a single client, and then you're just willing to spend just a few hundred quid to get them, no, we are not ready yet. It seems logical to me that if you are going to get 20,000 from a client, you'll be willing to spend 5,000 or even more than that to attract the client. Because even if you got 5,000 from a client, it's free money. So, and you can only do that if you understand your figures. And there are times when you'll be willing to lose on the initial sale. So let's say sometimes the client's attraction, you might have to spend even more than you're going to make on your initial sales. So if sometimes you might spend £500 to get a client that might come and give you probably £400. So you're losing £100. But the thing is, you need to look at the lifetime value of that client. What if we did repeat sales? What is the benefit that we're going to get from it? And once you know that figure to say, okay, even if I lost the £100 in the next 6 months, in the next 1 year, I can get more than £2,000 or £3,000 for this client. This is why you need to know the gap between the initial sales and the time that you make profit.
Okay, Romeo, it's been a long interview. Can you summarize the entire discussion for us, please?
Okay, what we've said are these. In order to grow a law firm, the law firm growth process is a 3-step process. The first step is to attract customers. The second step is to increase the volume per transaction to those customers. And the third step is to increase the frequency with which those customers buy. Now, what we said, the customer attraction process is a 3-step process. The first step is to craft a good marketing message. The second step is to identify the target market. And the third step is to select the right media through which to channel the marketing message. And then you also need to think in terms of innovation, demand innovation, and next generation demand. You always need to be thinking, what else does my client need? What next? Because if you want to grow your business, instead of just looking through your tunnel vision and say, okay, this is what we do and that's it, you need to be thinking, what else? What next? What else? What next? This is how you grow a law firm. As a business, in order to ensure that you increase the volume per transaction, you need to look at your business in terms of the demand of your customers. Look at your business through the eyes of your customers. Do not focus on your service. Because you run a law firm does not mean that you need to focus your service just on legal issues. I am not suggesting that you need to open other businesses. What I'm saying is, look at what other things that your customer, your client might need, and see how you can assist in providing those services for your client to make them more loyal to you. Like the example I gave, which is simple, that if you, for example, help someone to obtain a resident permit in your country, you could also think about reuniting them with the family, because this is a service that they might need. Or like you said, they might also need driving license, they might also need other things. that you might not provide directly, but you can somehow be part of to ensure that you generate revenues from there. In order to increase the frequency with which your client purchases from you, you need to create greater infinity with your customers. And how do you create greater infinity with them? There are 7 ways of doing that. The first one is to create a database of your clients and ensure you segment those database and stay in touch with them, because the idea of creating a database is not just to keep it, but it's to communicate with them. The second one is to grow your personal network. The third way is to develop your service guidelines to ensure consistency in the service that they receive from you. The fourth one is to start the relationship from the beginning right by sending them thank you card, by asking for referral. And the third one is to program for referral again from the beginning, so that when you send them a thank you card, at the back of the card, request referral, but don't only request referral, give them a reason why they should give you a referral. So you put an offer in the referral. The sixth one is to acknowledge and reward referral, because a behavior that is rewarded is repeated. So you need to ensure that when people provide you referral, you acknowledge it and then you thank them for it. The seventh one is to reciprocate. Reciprocity is one of the biggest influence factor in the world. So by first giving them referral, you will force them to give you referral in return. And finally, we said that marketing is psychology and marketing is mathematics. What does that mean is that everyone buys emotionally. It doesn't matter whether it's the president of the United States or a cleaner. We can explain our buying decisions logically, but the reality is it's done first and foremost on emotions. So what you need to do if you want to create an effective marketing message, you need to have a star, you need to have a story, and you need to have a solution. Because in that manner, you are able to influence, trigger people's emotions. And then you need to know your numbers. What are your numbers? What is the cost of customer acquisition? What is the lifetime value of your customer? And what is the gap between initial sales and profit? Now, these informations I've given you, I'm going to say 2 things to you. The first thing is this: I do not expect you to do your own marketing. I obviously do not do my own marketing. But I expect you to understand marketing. The most successful lawyers are those who have somewhat or somehow in their lives done some form of marketing. So if you know you've not done marketing in your life, in order for you to succeed as a business owner, you need to understand that you need to know how to sell. In a final analysis, the most important aspect of your business is the marketing aspect. The other areas you can subcontract, you can outsource to other people. But your marketing is the most important aspect of your business that you can never give to anyone to do effectively as you. This is why it's very, very important that you understand. When you hire a marketing agency or when you hire a marketing staff, you need to know what result to expect. And the only way to know that is when you understand marketing fundamentals. So what I have given you in these tips, they are just marketing fundamentals, so that when you're hiring somebody, no one will tell you, there is this common phrase we've got in marketing, 50% of my marketing resources are wasted. The only problem is I do not know which 50%. Now, if you as the business owner do not know what 50% that is wasted, the marketing agency will always tell you that. But if you understand these fundamentals, then they're not going to tell you that. The second thing I want you to pay attention to is this. The kind of information I've given you, the kind of marketing is very complicated. It's not easy. But the reality is this. If you just focus on doing the easy stuff, you will get the easy result. Now, there is a good news and a bad news. Like I said, the bad news is that it's not easy. But the good news is basically your competition is not doing it too. So which means that if you do it, it becomes better for you. So what you need to think about as a business is, look, how can we make our process so complicated that it cannot be copied by our competitors? And what I've given you is a process for making your marketing process so complicated that when your competitors think about it, they'll just be discouraged and don't do it, and you'll be eating their lunch instead of them eating your lunch. Finally, your objective has to be to reach critical mass. Critical mass, again, is the point at which you do not need to prospect. The point at which your current prospect become your sales force. And the way to do that, the way to reach critical mass, is to create a mechanism for compound prospecting, so that you have your current clients prospecting for you, doing referrals, and doing other things that will ensure that you keep getting a constant flow of clients. So there are a few things I want you to remember. The first thing I want you to remember is this. You need to use multiple media to transmit your marketing message. If you use a single media, when it's shut down, like when Google Penguin came or when Google shut down their pipe, most businesses went out of business because they were dependent solely on the internet. But when you have internet, you have direct marketing, you have different ways of contacting your client. When one is shut down, when there are new regulations, it doesn't affect you. The second thing I want you to remember is this. You make a sale to get a client. You do not get a client to make a sale. You need to remember the distinction. You make a sale to get a client. You do not get a client to make a sale. Front-end sale, which is the initial sales, makes you money. Back-end sales, repeat sales, make you wealthy. So if you want to succeed as a business, your focus has to be on back-end sales, repeat sales, because repeat sales is what is going to make you wealthy. Thank you very much.
Well, we hope this has been helpful to you. If you require more information about Romeo Richards, please visit www.theprofitexperts.co.uk or call 444 161 945 or 1754. On this site you can purchase more of Romeo's products, but you can also book private consultations with him, and you can hire him to organise and run a marketing campaign for you. Thanks for taking the time to listen to or watch this video again. If you need more information, please log on to www.theprofitexperts.co.uk or call 0800 876 6608, and for international 44 161 945 1754. Remember, no margin, no mission.